This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
Hello and welcome to Emergence News, coming to you from Plains FM Christchurch. With me today in the studio are Nigel and John. Hi there, guys.
Hi there, Peter.
Hi, John. How are you?
Hello, Peter. How are you? Nigel, nice to see you again.
Yes, I see you've got a nice new hairstyle.
Oh, yes, mate.
Especially for the occasion.
Cutting edge.
Cutting edge.
Very good.
We're talking about the emergence of Maitreya and his disciples, the Masters of Wisdom. They are our elder brothers, and who have gone on before us and mastered the lessons that are needed to progress on this plane. So, Nigel, what are you doing today? What are you going to be covering?
Well, the premise of today's program is Maitreya's message number 11.
Yes, okay.
And I'll be looking at there's a particular message that comes through. Maitreya talks about mankind needs to be somewhat prepared before his voice shall be heard, before he openly declares himself. And the reality is that the world is a dangerous place at the moment. It's pretty unstable, isn't it, with conflict. There's obvious conflict, there's climate change issues, there's obvious political issues.
Indeed there are.
So there's a lot of work to be done. We need to have a more sophisticated conversation if we're going to move forward and rebuild our civilization.
Exactly. And John, you're covering number 11.
Yes, message 11. A couple of key phrases caught my eye, but I'm going to stick with the one that is, my plan is that my teaching should precede my presence and prepare my way. My people will release it through their groups and group endeavour. And I want to kind of think about who my people are.
Look forward to it.
You, me and us.
I think that's about it, fellas.
It is. It's humankind, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the 140 messages that he gave through Benjamin Creme were recorded back in September 1977 and up to June 1982. And these messages were given during Benjamin Creme's public lectures in London via a process of mental overshadowing or spiritual telepathy, which is not related to mediumship or channeling. Through these communications, Maitreya suggests the lines that social change must take, and he evokes the desire to share and serve humanity. He also gives hints on how to recognize him and urges people to make known the fact of his presence. It is almost impossible to say these messages aloud with attention without invoking Maitreya's energy, his heart response. They are apparently simple, sent from heart to heart, but work on various levels and should be meditated upon for their full meaning to come through. So, again and again in these messages, he tells us that we are divine beings. We are part of God. There's hardly a message goes by that he doesn't suggest this. And we play these messages. We play one before our meditation, in our group meditation. In message 107, he says the way forward is only the acceptance of justice and freedom, sharing and love. That sums up his whole stance, doesn't it? That doesn't sound so difficult, does it? Honestly.
And it would appear to be extremely difficult at the moment, looking around. However,
yes,
when we talk about the breaking down of one civilization, that is on the basis of another one pushing through. So that whole, as the forest declines, the new growth comes through. And I think we're seeing that if we look hard enough.
Yes,
that
definitely.
The new civilization is coming through.
Yeah, definitely.
There was I'm sure it was you, John, there was something on Facebook or something on social media this week or the week before, and somebody was quoted saying that we, as in humanity, we don't realise what we don't understand what's going on.
And we don't know. Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, it is the problem. And I think that there's a very big machine out there that says everything's fine, just keep working and buying. And I think that machine is a very big noise and a very big message.
Well, look at
but
corporate.
Actually, it's not the truth.
Well, look at corporate America at the moment, selling us that we're making history. Humankind is taking a great step forward by spending or investing $150 billion on sending a rocket to the moon full of robots when we've got estimated 33 million people homeless or affected by a third of their land underwater. The Pakistani people are screaming out for help, and we're spending these, we've got billionaires going off to space because they want to provide holidays to the moon.
I think
it's just obscene.
Yeah, I think there's a movement to leave. Do you know what I mean? I think if you are in that wealthy group, that the possibility of just leaving this mess behind, I wonder if that's a growing thought. But anyway, getting back to messages by Maitreya,
Yes.
These are hugely inspirational, Peter.
They are indeed, and as I say, we play them in our before our meditation each time we have one, and yes, they are very inspiring, and as I say, they don't really sound that difficult to carry out. They're not. It's not rocket science. It's just looking out for justice, freedom, sharing, and love. How simple can it get? Okay, John, thanks very much. You were going to read out number 11 for us.
Yes, message number 11, January the 5th, 1978. Now, that's a really important date because it's almost my birthday. So here's how Maitreya starts most of his messages, and Peter's kind of already alluded to the fact there's a common theme through them all. My dear friends, I am happy to be with you once more. My plan is that my teaching should precede my presence and prepare my way. My people will release it through their groups and group endeavour. When mankind is somewhat prepared, my voice shall be heard. Now that's the sentence that Nigel's going to come back to. And my sentence that I'm going to come back to is my people will release it through their groups and group endeavour. Rang a bell with me. The message continues. Meanwhile, my efforts are bearing fruit, producing change and drawing men and nations and bringing together new hope. I'm emerging soon, but first I would point the way into the new direction which man, if he would survive, must take. Firstly, men must see themselves as brothers, sons of the one Father. This is essential if they would progress one step nearer the Godhead. Throughout the world there are men, women and little children who have not even the essentials to stay alive. They crowd the cities of many of the poorest countries in the world. This crime fills me with shame. My brothers, how can you watch these people die before your eyes and call yourselves men? My plan is to save these, my little ones, from certain starvation and needless death. My plan is to show you that the way out of your problems is to listen again to the true voice of God within your hearts, to share the produce of this most bountiful worlds among your brothers and sisters everywhere. I need your help. I call on you to aid me in my task. How can I stand aside and watch the slaughter, watch my little ones die? No, my friends, this cannot be. Therefore I am come quickly among you once more, to show you the way, point the path. But the success of my mission depends on you. You must make the choice, whether you share and learn to live peacefully as true men or perish utterly. My heart tells me your answer, your choice, and is glad. May the divine light and love and power of the one most holy God fall now upon your hearts and minds. May this light, love, and power lead you to seek that which dwells in silence within you. Find that and know that you are God's. So that's the message that we've been playing with, been thinking about. It's the words "my people" that struck me, and I kind of went, who are his people? So my hand fell to the book Maitreya's Teachings, the Laws of Life, one of Benjamin Crem's books. And honestly, for a snapshot of what Maitreya's on about, it is really a beautiful book. And it's one of those books where there's lots of little quotes and just little kind of paragraphs that make you think. I went through the table of contents and came to the heading, Be Who You Are. So I'm thinking my people, and I'm looking at be who you are. The point is, I'm one of Maitreya's people. Now that's hard for me to say and claim. I am one of Maitreya's people, I think. It's hard to stand up and say that. It requires courage. I am screaming with my ego, don't say that, don't claim that. Who do you think you are? But it requires being who you are. And there's a warning going off in my head, don't go anywhere near that, who am I? That's an awful kind of investigation that we don't want to do. Could be messy and possibly painful. Could be a tricky investigation. Who am I? It requires that question, that risk, and that gamble. That stumble into who you may be or may not be. Careful, pilgrim, there's dangerous here. Who am I? There is that leap of trust to hope or wish or even guess that you may be one of Maitreya's people. So I've gone to page 55, and he talks about be who you are. The simple foundation for the teachings of the New Age is this: be who you are. If you are a Jew, be a Jew. If you're a Muslim, be a Muslim. If you are a Christian, a Hindu, a Buddhist, be who you are. If you can discover the secrets of mind, spirit and body, you will know who you are. You can do this through honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit and detachment. You gain freedom in creation and salvation in the Supreme Being. It is detachment which takes you from creation and into the Supreme Being. Being in this way, you are not distracted by the powers of creation. If you become attached even to the divine power, you will be able to perform miracle things. But this is not salvation. Through detachment, you begin to lead a life of wholesomeness. You experience oneness. If you are attached, you experience something closing in upon you. So who are Maitreya's people? So it's that be who you are. That is the start of that journey. We've talked about honesty and sincerity and detachment a lot on this program. I've talked to Dick Larson in LA, and he's got a counselling background, worked as a counsellor, gave lectures on being counsellors, trained counsellors, and he always started with honesty of mind. He always started with the truism, the truth will set you free. So I've come back to be who you are. Try that journey, that pathway. Start with the question, who am I? Ask it strongly, sincerely, and consistently, who am I? If you start that process with honesty, sincerity, and detachment, you will find the truth. You will find the answer. The ego will attempt to lead you astray. It doesn't want you to discover your divinity. So there is a battle. But keep the question strong and clear, honestly, sincerely, and with detachment. You too will recognise that you are more than you think. We are all Maitreya's people.
Well, he does say in message number 11, John, the success of his mission depends on us. He says it depends on you and I, us. So we do need to look in the mirror, and we do need to start asking the difficult questions. Okay.
And he does talk too about 1 billion people at least will go along with what he thinks and what he says, and taking it heart to heart, it will resonate with them.
Well, I'll tell you what resonates with me was what you were reading out of that book, The Laws of Life, just a moment ago, John, and that is, be a Jew if you're a Jew. Be a Muslim if you're a Muslim. And I find that really palatable. I find it a message that is very accommodating. He is not telling us to drop our religion or drop our philosophy.
That's right, and you don't even need a religion.
Yeah, but,
correct.
But if you find yourself in one, be who you are.
Yes,
so
practice doesn't matter. It's,
And I think the end of the end result of the search, of the journey, is you discover who you are and you discover your divinity. And it's that honesty, sincerity and detachment that brings all of those problems that we've talked about to a head and to a place where you can deal with them. Honesty, sincerity and detachment.
Exactly. This is the Emergence News on Plains FM. For more information, go to shareinternational.org. Right, Nigel, you can bring us home on your take on the message number 11. That'd be fantastic.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you, John. I really enjoyed that, and I agree. The Maitreya's Teachings, The Laws of Life, is a book worth investigating.
Fabulous. Yeah. Just little snapshots of stuff you can really work on.
And what I didn't realise the first time I read it was there's all these laws to life.
Yes.
It sounds so obvious, but there are a lot, scientifically speaking, there are a lot of natural laws which, if we were all more attuned and educated on them, I think we wouldn't suffer quite so much as a species.
Surely if you're a young child at school, finding out who you are is one of the most important things you can do.
Yeah.
And then education can be tailored to who you are.
And I think if we had a better understanding of karma, there may not be so much bullying in schools. It's a lack of education. Maitreya's message number 11, the line in this message that really caught my eye was, when mankind is somewhat prepared, my voice shall be heard. And I started thinking about this, and I often come across news stories and I think, how's this connected to what the subject is? I came across a news story this week where a number of board members in this country belong to an outfit called Capital Zero, and they're finally meeting with our Deputy Prime Minister and the Climate Change Commission, which is it's an independent organisation headed by Rod Carr. And if you know Rod Carr, he's amazing. But it occurred to me it's taken 44 years for corporate New Zealand to sit down with the government and finally discuss what companies now need to plan, what they need to prepare and what they need to do to adapt to what is coming. Hello?
What is here, actually.
Exactly. But for humanity to be somewhat prepared, the horse is already bolted. We're in catch-up mode. And it's interesting that corporate New Zealand, which is just a snapshot of corporate America or corporate Europe or corporate UK.
The world, yeah.
They're clinging on to those old profit-driven measures, aren't they? So if mankind needs to be somewhat prepared, and we're not yet prepared, then we need to accept that the scientists are probably somewhat correct when they say that climate change, for example, has already been overshot, regardless of what we do now. And this is what we need to accept. And it's very difficult to get people who are in a profitable organisation to have an attitude of, and I need to make change here. I need to make changes for the sake of my brothers and sisters. So I went to our old friend Benjamin Creme in regard to what does Maitreya mean by being somewhat prepared. And to quote Benjamin Creme, he says that Maitreya comes to inspire us, to inspire humanity to save the planet and humanity from destroying itself. It is through his teaching that he seeks to inspire us to make that change. This is the expectation that most people have of him as a saviour. But we have to do the work ourselves. As he said long ago, every stone, every brick must be set in place by humanity itself. So Maitreya isn't a saviour. He's actually a teacher. We have to grasp his teachings, and then, as he hints in message number 11, the answers become a little more obvious to us. We need an attitude change.
And it brings out the creativity that exists in us. It's already there. We just need to stimulate it.
So if he's not a saviour, he's a teacher. He says we must save ourselves by the correct response to his teachings. No one else can do this, not even Maitreya himself. The world teacher is, in fact, a saviour, but he does not come to save us. He comes to teach, and it is true we actually do the saving by the correct response to his teachings. That is, making the teachings a dynamic force within our life. We save ourselves. Saving is knowing. When you become and are the self, you are saved. Now, of course, this whole concept of the saviour has been presented to the world by the Christian groups for over 2,000 years in terms of a saviour coming to the world to save humanity from the results of their sins. Mm-hmm. But Krem says it has no relationship to sin. It is about self-transformation. We need to change ourselves and enter the process of being saved. It is a stage-by-stage process, and perhaps one of those first steps is what you were hinting at earlier. We actually need to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, well, who am I in this? What role do I have to play?
And we all have a role. We all have a role, Nigel.
That's right. And it's not we don't necessarily have the same role.
No.
We need to, and that's why I think that Maitreya, when he says, be who you are, if you are a Jew, be a Jew. If you are a Christian, be a Christian.
But if you're in the business of saving the planet and being who you are, then the way in which you can contribute to saving the planet will become more obvious. Because we are three people sitting here, we know there's many, many ways that we could be involved in helping humanity. But we've chosen this way because we have a little bit of an understanding of who we are. So once you discover who you are, that will help you discover in which way you can contribute to humanity's needs.
Because everybody's got different strengths.
Absolutely.
Different background, but different education.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go out planting trees. Do trees need planting? Absolutely. But I've got a bad back. I'm not going to be out there bending over. Look at how soft my hands are. I couldn't be out there planting trees.
He's a white-collar worker, Peter.
It's not who I am, right? I'm here to talk about this stuff. That's who I am. I'm here to put myself out feeling awkward about talking about a Messiah. That's who I am.
Well, Krem talks about that, doesn't he? Back in 1959, he felt really awkward about the prospect of having to go out there and talk about Maitreya. And
copped an awful lot of flack for it.
He did. Yeah.
So who are you?
Well, that's the question that you ask that's the question you ask when you look in the mirror, isn't it? Who am I? What am I going to do today that's productive?
Sometimes I ask the question, where was I last night? No, I don't.
Oh, look, back to Krem.
All right, sorry.
We save ourselves in response to the teachings and, above all, the application of the teachings to oneself. You can hear teachings and they can remain as teachings as they have done for 2,000 years for millions of people. The teachings of Maitreya through Jesus, which people have heard and put into the Bible, have been either explained away or are still as relevant today as they were, but they have not necessarily been applied. If we do not apply the teachings, if they are not a dynamic force within us and therefore a force for change, we do not become saved. Correctly applied daily or weekly or monthly or yearly, these teachings have the potential to transform us bit by bit. The soul seeks to express itself through its vehicle, the man or woman, but they have to respond to the teachings. That is why the teacher comes to remind us once again of the laws of life, the laws of karma, the law of rebirth, the law of harmlessness. We have to apply these laws correctly, but firstly, you've got to understand these laws. That's what we were talking about just a few moments ago. So we have to apply these laws correctly in our lives, not just as an idea that remains in the head but does not do anything. If it is only a memory in the brain, it does not do anything at all. We have to actually apply it so that it changes us, so that it lifts us and changes us. You have to change according to the teachings. It's not an easy message to receive, is it?
No, and when we look at Maitreya's messages, they are all tough to read because they talk about our divinity, they talk about doing something to express it, to bring it forth, and it is a vibrant and living teachings, and it's challenging.
There's 140 of them. They're in a book called Messages from Maitreya the Christ, 140 messages. If you go online, you can order these online. It's a truly inspirational book.
Fabulous.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
All the best.
Cheers.
Ka kite.
All this information can be found on the Share International website, www.share-international.org, and also don't forget the podcasts, which are available on the Plains FM website.
We welcome your comments, questions and feedback. Please contact us at emergencenews@gmail.com.